As the early morning sun casts long shadows across the cobblestone square of Valoria, vibrant tents and colorful banners adorn the grand arena. A festive air fills the town as villagers bustle about, chatting excitedly about the day's event, the Grand Tournament of Champions. Pyra's eyes spark with anticipation, her fingers idly tracing fiery patterns in the air, while Thoradin's stout figure exudes confidence, his broad axe gleaming in the sunlight. Wisp darts between the legs of the crowd like a shadow, already eyeing potential valuables, while Seraph clenches her worn prayer beads, murmuring soft blessings for the souls who may soon meet their end. As the herald announces the beginning of the tournament, the crowd's cheers rise to a deafening crescendo.
As the herald continues to rile up the crowd, I step confidently into the center of the arena. Flames swirl around my hands, casting an impressive display of fire and light. Let the tournament begin, I declare with a sultry grin, sending a jet of flame high into the sky as a signal for the first match to start.
I grunt in approval at Pyra's theatrics, stepping forward with my shield raised and axe at the ready, scanning the crowd and arena for any potential threats or challenges. May the best of us prove our mettle, I declare, my voice a booming contrast to Pyra's flair.
I slink through the crowd, eyes sharp for any unattended pouches or pockets, then glance up at Pyra's flaming display and Thoradin's imposing stance. Gonna need some distractions if we're to win over this lot, I mutter, before slipping behind the crowd, looking for a vantage point to spot any weaknesses in our first opponent.
I step forward, clutching my prayer beads tightly in my hand. With a voice that seems to echo from the shadows, I utter, "In the face of glory and triumph, remember that death is the only certainty." I then cast Shield of Faith on Thoradin, ensuring he is protected in the battles to come.
From the other side of the arena, the crowd parts to reveal a towering human knight in gleaming armor, the sun glinting off his polished surface. Beside him marches a burly orc, his tusks bared in a fearsome snarl, an enormous club resting on his shoulder. As they step into the arena, the ground seems to shudder beneath their combined weight. The knight raises his sword towards you, shouting, "Champions, prepare yourselves!" The crowd erupts in feverish excitement, anticipating the epic clash that is about to unfold.
I smirk at the sight of our formidable opponents, feeling the pulse of the crowd feed my energy. "Let's turn up the heat," I murmur, raising my arms to create a fiery barrier on one side of the arena, hoping to limit their movement and maybe trap them. The flames roar as they burst into life, creating an intense wall of fire that dances and crackles menacingly.
I pound my axe against my shield, sending a resounding clang through the arena. Stepping forward, I bellow, "Orc, you'll regret stepping foot here!" I plant my feet firmly, creating a posture that dares him to charge.
In the chaos of Pyra's flaming display and Thoradin's bold taunt, I spot a stack of barrels near the arena's edge. I swiftly climb up and crouch behind them, using my vantage point to scan our opponents for any weak points or hidden equipment they might be carrying. Time to level the playing field, I whisper to myself, ready to call out any useful intel to my teammates.
With a calm and eerie demeanor, I raise my hand towards the towering human knight. Chanting a prayer to Kelemvor, I cast Guiding Bolt, sending a radiant beam of light aimed directly at his chest. Even the mightiest fall when death beckons.
The radiant bolt from Seraph's hand streaks across the arena, striking the knight square in the chest. His armor smokes and he staggers backward, but with a roar of defiance he charges forward, undeterred. The orc, enraged by Thoradin's taunt, swings his massive club with surprising speed, aiming to crush the stout dwarf. Meanwhile, Pyra's wall of fire roars, casting flickering shadows and limiting the knights and orcs' options, though they press on determinedly.
As the knight charges towards us, I fling my hands forward, creating a series of controlled fireballs to hit the ground around his feet, intending to trip him up and force him to lose balance. "Let's see how well you can dance in flames," I taunt with a fiery smirk.
As the orc swings his massive club, I swiftly duck and sidestep to the right, using my shield to deflect part of the blow. With a roar of my own, I slam my shield into the orc's knee, aiming to destabilize him. You picked the wrong dwarf to mess with.
Seeing the knight stagger from Seraph's bolt and Pyra's fireballs wreaking havoc, I decide to further complicate things for him. I swiftly toss a handful of ball bearings onto the ground where the knight is charging, hoping to trip him up even more. "Watch your step, tin can," I call out with a mischievous grin.
Recognizing the ferocity of both the knight and the orc, I clutch my prayer beads tightly, calling out a quiet yet composed chant to Kelemvor. I cast Bane on the knight and the orc, aiming to sap their strength and focus. You may fight valiantly, but the inevitable grasp of weakness draws nearer.
The knight, already staggering from Seraph's bolt and encumbered by Pyra's fireballs, slips on Wisp's ball bearings and crashes heavily to the ground, his sword flying from his grasp. The crowd gasps as the towering figure falls, and a mother's voice calls out from the stands, urging her child to look away. Meanwhile, the orc's momentum is halted as Thoradin's shield slams into his knee. With a bellow of pain, the orc drops to one knee, momentarily vulnerable. Seraph's spell takes hold, and both foes seem to visibly weaken, their will to fight wavering under the cleric's ancient incantation. Pyra's flames dance higher as if in response, casting long, dramatic shadows over the arena, making the heroes seem larger than life.
Taking advantage of the knight's fall, I launch a concentrated stream of fire towards his scattered sword to heat it up and make it too hot to handle. "Let's keep you disarmed, shall we?" I say with a confident smirk.
I seize the moment, driving my axe towards the orc's exposed side while he's down on one knee, aiming to keep him off balance. "You're too slow, you lumbering beast!"
I see the knight's sword heating up and the orc in a vulnerable position. Lightning quick, I dart down from the barrels and sneak around the edge of the arena towards the fallen knight, aiming to snatch any pouches or valuables he might have on him while he's distracted. "Let's see what you're hiding in that shiny armor," I whisper with a mischievous grin.
I step forward amidst the chaos, my eyes fixed on the orc, whose defenses are faltering. Raising my prayer beads, I chant subtly to Kelemvor and cast Inflict Wounds, my hand emanating dark energy, aiming for his exposed flesh. Embrace the sweet decay that comes to us all.
As Pyra's stream of fire sears the knight's sword, rendering it glowing red-hot, the knight tries to grasp it but yelps in pain, forced to abandon his weapon on the ground. His vulnerable state invites quick action from his opponent. Thoradin's axe cleaves into the orc's side with a sickening crunch, causing the hulking beast to howl and slump down in agony, blood pooling beneath him. Wisp scampers quickly towards the knight, deftly avoiding the scalding hot sword, and deftly rummages through hidden compartments in the knight's armor, finding a gleaming pouch heavy with gold and a curious amulet. Seraph's dark energy flows through her fingertips into the orc, whose eyes widen in terror as necrotic energy spreads through his body, disintegrating flesh in a gruesome display. The warrior's final growl fades, leaving only silence and the distant murmur of the shocked crowd.
Recognizing the knight's desperation, I step forward confidently, conjuring a spiraling inferno around his fallen form to intimidate and contain him. "Yield now, or burn!" I command, my voice dripping with fiery authority.
Seeing the knight disarmed and surrounded by Pyra's inferno, I take a step forward, planting my shield firmly in front of me. "Surrender, lad, or I'll be forced to make this ugly," I growl menacingly, ready to strike if necessary.
While the knight is intimidated by Pyra's flames and Thoradin's imposing presence, I quickly pocket the gleaming pouch and the curious amulet, then dart back towards the barrels, blending into the shadows to watch the knight's next move. "Your coin's with me now," I whisper to myself with a sly grin.
Seeing the knight's resolve falter amidst Pyra's flames and Thoradin's threats, I lock my eyes on him. With an eerie calm, I extend my hand and cast Hold Person on the knight, seeking to paralyze him, then murmur softly, "Accept your fate and it will be kinder."
The knight, already overwhelmed by the oppressive heat of Pyra's inferno and Thoradin's growling threat, suddenly stiffens as Seraph's eyes bore into him, her spell taking hold. His muscles lock, and his gaze, full of both terror and resignation, flickers toward the cheering crowd now falling into uneasy silence. Above the arena, Black smoke swirls and forms ominous shapes in the sky, reflecting the grim finality of the scene. The crowd, realizing the gravity of the moment, waits with bated breath, their cheers hushed and eyes wide. Victory or defeat hangs in the air, and the scent of charred steel mixes with the tense energy as the knight, frozen and disarmed, faces his ultimate reckoning.
I step closer to the paralyzed knight, the spiraling inferno tightening around him as I increase the intensity of the heat. The flames reflect in my eyes as I smirk and say, "Yield now, knight. Your fate is no longer in your hands."
I am paralyzed. The mighty of a spell and utterly and clearly overwhelmed without a single distance. I stood forward with what I say. Forming was this all. I thought it was more than your pride, but ready to strike if he shows any further resistance.
Seeing the knight on the verge of giving up, I make my way back to the knight, disarm a small hidden dagger from his boot, and whisper, "Better part of valor, friend," before darting back into the shadows.
With the knight immobilized by my spell and the flames of Pyra closing in, I move closer to him, my prayer beads hanging ominously in my grasp. Leaning in, I whisper with a voice full of unsettling serenity, "Release your pride, for every breath you defy prolongs the inevitable."
The knight's eyes widen further in horror as Pyra's inferno draws near, his options rapidly dwindling. His body remains rigid, completely immobilized by Seraph's spell, and he can only manage a weak grunt in response to Thoradin's demands. Seeing Wisp's nimble fingers rob him of his last hidden weapon causes a flicker of resignation to pass through his gaze. The crowd, sensing the surrender in his eyes, begins to murmur discontentedly, a tension crackling through the air. The herald steps forward, raising his hand to signal to the arena guards, who quickly approach to take the knight into custody. As he's escorted away, disarmed and defeated, the audience's hushed whispers build into a cautious cheer, unsure whether to celebrate the champions or mourn the harsh spectacle that just unfolded.
As the knight is taken into custody, I let the spiraling inferno dissipate into the air, transforming the remaining flames into a delicate yet awe-inspiring display of fiery butterflies that scatter into the sky, captivating the crowd. "Victory is ours," I declare confidently, my voice filling the arena with a sense of triumph and grace.
Seeing the knight being escorted away and the crowd beginning to cheer hesitantly, I plant my axe firmly into the ground and raise my shield high, letting out a victorious roar. For honor and for victory!
Seeing the knight taken into custody, I emerge from the shadows, grinning ear to ear. With a sly look at my teammates, I flick the knight's curious amulet in the air and catch it smoothly. "Guess we picked up more than just a win," I quip, my eyes twinkling with mischief.
With the knight now in the hands of the arena guards and the tension dissipating, I turn to the crowd, holding my prayer beads high. My voice, cold and haunting, echoes through the arena as I declare, "In victory and in defeat, remember that death's embrace awaits us all." I then cast calm emotions over the crowd, seeking to soothe their apprehension and bring a solemn peace to the arena.
As the crowd's cautious cheer grows more fervent, the herald steps forward again, his voice booming across the arena. "Behold, the victors of this harrowing clash. Let us honor the bravery and skill of Pyra, Thoradin, Wisp, and Seraph." The onlookers respond with a roar of approval, their earlier hesitation melting into pure admiration. Not far from the arena, an ornate door swings open, revealing the next challengers. A fierce duo composed of a lithe, dagger-wielding elf and an imposing minotaur clad in dark iron armor, their eyes burning with determination. The crowd's excitement peaks as anticipation for the next battle builds. Above, the sky darkens subtly, foretelling the escalating intensity of the tournament.
I casually stroll toward the center of the arena, flames swirling around my fingers as I cast a beacon of flame at my feet, creating a fiery symbol to intimidate our new challengers and boost our morale. "Ready to get the fireworks started?" I challenge, my eyes locking with those of the Minotaur.
I tighten my grip on my shield and axe, stepping forward to meet the gaze of the fierce new challengers, my stance strong and unyielding. "Let's see if you two have got what it takes to bring down a dwarf. I growl menacingly, planting my shield in the ground and preparing for the clash.
Seeing the lithe elf and imposing minotaur step into the arena, I quickly dart into the shadows, scanning their weapons and armor for any potential weaknesses or concealed items. Time to even the odds, I murmur, positioning myself behind a nearby pillar to gain the best vantage point.
Watching the new challengers with an aura of calm detachment, I step forward and raise my prayer beads, murmuring a prayer to the god of death. I cast Shield of Faith on Pyra, ensuring she is better protected in the upcoming battle. Even the flames of glory must be shielded from the inevitable.